Theoretically, the goal of every NBA team is supposed to be to win the championship every season. But if you know anything about sports, there's only a handful of contenders every year. From season to season, there's only 5 in the NBA. But of course, only one championship. At the end of every season, the champions of course celebrate, and the contenders go back to the drawing board. Both LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, are equal favorites to win the championship, with Milwaukee right behind them in 3rd place. Houston appears to be the dark horse team for everybody at number 4. But in this video, we're going to be looking at what each of these teams should do if they don't win the title. I'm Tricon and this is Unpopular Facts. With the NBA restart approaching, we're going to be going back into sports pretty heavy. I'm going to leave the other news and politics stuff alone for probably the next 3 months. Unless, of course, something major comes up, I'll cover it. But let's not hope for anything else major in 2020. But before we get started, you know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. My content creator and I, Reese, we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into these videos to make sure you guys get high quality and high accurate content. And of course, it doesn't cost you anything and it only takes 1 second. So yeah, please like and subscribe. So we're going to start with the Clippers. And this is coming from a guy who does want LeBron to get his 4th ring. But it is undeniable that the Clippers have the best roster from top to bottom. Even though the 2 best players on the Lakers are better than the 2 best players on the Clippers, I don't even think it's close after that. The Clippers have 4 guys averaging over 18 points a game. I think someone needs to check the history books on that because I don't believe that's ever been done. And that's with, of course, 2 guys coming off the bench. But if the Clippers don't win it this year, it's going to be because they haven't had that much time together. They've dealt with nagging injuries, and their best guys just haven't had that much time playing together. So for them, if they don't win, they're probably the only team that needs to come back as is. Paul George was hurt to start the season, so he had to work his way back. And I do believe if the Clippers were at full strength, they'd probably be the number 1 seed. Now, the one question mark for them is going to be Montrezl Harrell. He's averaging a career best 18 points and 7 rebounds off the bench. I do wish he'd stop comparing himself to Dennis Rodman because he doesn't even average half the rebounds that Rodman averaged in his prime. But Montrezl Harrell is very good around the basket. He's a good defender. He switches off well on pick and rolls. They still better not even try to put him on AD, but he's a very good player in this league. And he will be a free agent after this season, and he's due for a big payday. He's made less than $20 million in his career so far, just coming off a 2-year, $12 million deal. So we shouldn't be surprised if Montrezl Harrell commands north of $20 million on the open market. I'm not sure how the pandemic will affect the salary cap, but the most important factor is going to be their owner, Steve Ballmer. If I'm not mistaken, he is the richest owner in the NBA. In any other circumstance, I would pretty much assume Montrezl Harrell would be walking in free agency. But in this case, with Steve Ballmer in play, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I do know if they want to keep everything intact, they will have to enter the luxury tax. But if Montrezl Harrell just wants a bigger role and wants more money, they should not panic, because they still have Marcus Morris, who does like to shoot the ball. So this could be a case where you have addition by subtraction. As I've mentioned in the past, the Clippers have a lot of mouths to feed. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, and Marcus Morris all need shots. Losing one of those mouths may not hurt. So if the Clippers don't win the championship, as long as they come back all healthy and intact after 1 year playing together, gaining chemistry over the summer, even if they lose Montrezl Harrell, I still think they'll be contenders, if not the favorites in 2021. Now for the Bucks, they are not winning the championship. The equation to win a championship has always been you have to have at least 2 superstars, or you gotta have 1 superstar and 2 all-star caliber players. And Milwaukee has neither. Now, it would be different if Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe actually elevated their games in the playoffs, but that just is not the case. Chris Middleton goes from being an all-star to being a regular player. Eric Bledsoe goes from being a regular player to being a bum. That just is not fair to Giannis. So the rumors of him leaving in free agency, those are real. We must understand the media is about 2 years away from harping down on Giannis like they did LeBron back in Cleveland. You only get to be the NBA's darling for so long. Me personally, I don't even have them making it out of the East. Because when you check the numbers, Bledsoe does not perform well against teams over 500. And Chris Middleton does not perform well against playoff teams. In 2019, he shrunk when Giannis needed him most. Colin Cowherd did a good segment in which he listed the 10 players with the most pressure on them this playoffs. Chris Middleton was at the top of this list. I didn't agree with how he ranked him, but he was definitely right about number 1. Because if Chris Middleton shrinks in the playoffs again, I believe Giannis is gone. The rumors of him possibly signing with Golden State are real. And so, with them not winning the title this year, they have got to start considering trade packages for everyone, especially Giannis. When they drafted him, he was not a superstar player. He was a 6'8", 190-pound, lanky kid with a lot of potential. Milwaukee's organization had a lot to do with Giannis becoming a superstar. They gave him the right diet plan. They gave him the right strength and conditioning coaches. Now, of course, Giannis put in a lot of work, but so did Milwaukee. And they cannot afford to lose him for nothing. This is San Antonio and Kawhi Leonard all over again. Minus the bad blood. The Bucks have two ways of handling this. The way the Pelicans did with AD, or the way the Spurs did with Kawhi. The Pelicans got Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and of course draft picks. Lonzo Ball's been playing well. I think he's going to be a future All-Star, and of course Brandon Ingram is already there. Now Milwaukee can handle it like that, where they lose Giannis but still have a bright future, or they can handle it the way the Spurs did. AD with the Pelicans and Kawhi with the Spurs, both those guys wanted to be in LA. The Pelicans said, we don't care where you want to go, we want the best package for you. And that's what they got. The Spurs and Greg Popovich said, we don't care where you want to go, we're going to send you as far from LA as possible. Not only did it not work out for the Spurs, okay, all they got was DeRozan and a first round pick. You see how that's working out for them. It actually worked out for Kawhi. He won a ring and still got to LA. So you shot yourself in the foot for no reason. So for the Bucks, Giannis is rumored to want to play in Golden State. That's of course if they don't win a championship in Milwaukee, which he won't. After this season, the Warriors can offer 2 picks, one being likely a top 3, and Andrew Wiggins for Giannis. Andrew Wiggins is not a bad player, okay? Did he live up to the hype? No. But this is still a guy that can give you 20 plus points a game. He averaged a career high 23 a game before Jimmy Butler got to Minnesota. I'm a firm believer in the team that drafts you has a lot to do with what your future is going to look like. Now, there's some guys, it doesn't matter who drafts them, they're going to be great regardless. And those guys come into the league dominating, okay? LeBron, Melo, Zion. Giannis and Kawhi did not come in the league dominating. They both averaged 7 points a game, but they were in organizations that nurtured them as they ascended. Wiggins was not drafted by a good organization. I mean, for crying out loud, the owner has put the team up for sale. But for the Bucks, I do believe Giannis is gone in 2021. If Wiggins and 2 picks is all you can get for him, then you do it. Although I'm inclined to believe there will be better offers out there for Giannis. But they don't need to be worried about which conference he goes to. They need to be worried about getting the best package they can get. They don't want to lose a guy like Giannis for someone like DeRozan and a pick. I still can't believe the Spurs fucked up that bad. Like I mentioned earlier, I hope the Lakers are celebrating instead of going back to the drawing board after this season. But for the Lakers, they're clearly going to need a roster upgrade. Kyle Kuzma went from being a potential 3rd star to being a Kardashian. I'm so glad he changed his hair color back.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
He's only averaging 12 a game this season and has clearly digressed. But he's still on his rookie deal. He's making peanuts, in NBA money. He is still cheap labor. And what he gives the Lakers in correlation to what he's paid equates to a value contract. Plus, you don't have to worry about restricted free agency with him until next season. Now, I still think you trade him if you can get something good for him, but he's not a guy that I'd be just thirsty to move. That would actually be Danny Green. Danny Green is averaging less points than KCP and Avery Bradley, but gets paid more than both of them combined. I like Danny Green. He's a 2-time champ. Of course, one of the better 3-and-D players in the league. He was a big part in Tim Duncan getting his 5th ring, so I appreciate Danny Green. But if the Lakers don't win, they have to move that contract. As far as free agents go, this is one of the weakest free agency classes of all time. I think Andre Drummond is the best player available, but the only one of these guys, of these top free agents in 2020, that actually fit with the Lakers would be Otto Porter. Now, Otto Porter did not live up to the $106 million that he got in his last contract, but the guy is still a good defender and a good 3-point shooter. Plus, he's 6'8", 6'9", and that's what LeBron needs. Next thing I think they should do is just get Rondo off the roster for good. He's obviously a negative, and if LeBron is going to be your full-time point guard, you don't need Rajon Rondo on the roster, because the only time you need him is when LeBron is on the bench. And in the playoffs, when LeBron's playing 40 minutes a game, that's going to be hardly ever. I think Rajon Rondo is a Hall of Famer. I don't think he'd be open to something like that. Plus, Alex Caruso is the GOAT, and Rondo is taking minutes from him. Now for Houston, they're of course the dark horse team. This season may very well be a wash for them because Harden and Westbrook have tested positive. I'm one of the few believers in the Houston Rockets. I believe they have a legit chance at winning the title. We've never seen a lineup with a 6'5" center since the 1950s. So they're all in on small ball. And when I saw them beat the Lakers with Russell Westbrook going off, I knew they had a puncher's chance. But if they're at full strength, which I doubt they will be, and of course they don't win the title, it's time to blow up things in Houston. Both Harden and Westbrook are on the wrong side of 30. Now maybe you don't blow up things entirely, but if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm likely gonna move on from James Harden. If you can get someone like a Bradley Beal and some other pieces in Mike D'Antoni's system, I think that would be pretty interesting, with Russell Westbrook of course leading the way. But if you can't do that, you blow it up. That's going to be it for the video. Always remember, drink water, save money, in that order. Tricon unpopular facts. Till next time.